these last 3 games against the Chicago White Sox. First, they were swept at home by a division rival. That's not great at all. But they weren't just swept. They were put in their place by a team that had come in losing 11 out of their last 17. A team whose manager walked a player in a 1-2 count and gave him a free base intentionally. This is the team that came into Detroit and said, nope, you're still worse than we are. Outscored them 27-6 in 3 games. It was so bad on Wednesday afternoon, the Detroit Tigers didn't even use their bullpen after the 6th inning and had Harold Castro, Cody Clemens, and Tucker Barnhart all throw 1 inning each using position players to pitch because it wasn't worth it to expend the efforts of the bullpen any further. And it was really disappointing. 14 strikeouts in Game 2. Terrible baseball. They lost Monday night 9-5. Then they turn around and lose 5-1 on Tuesday. And then 13-0 on Wednesday. And it was just brutal. And I think this is who they are, unfortunately. A team that's probably not going to sniff 500 because in every aspect of the game this week against the White Sox, they were bad. They didn't have a pitcher go longer than 4 innings. Our starting pitchers gave the Tigers 11 innings over 3 games. They didn't even average 4 innings for the series. It was brutal. It was bad. It was terrible. Faedo got roughed up Wednesday. First time, okay? We can maybe give him a pass because he was bound to have a clunker at some point, like Scuba was against the Blue Jays. I get that. Drew Hutchinson called up to make a bullpen start on Tuesday. And Ronnie Garcia, not great either. Monday, it was just bad. It was just bad. And when the bullpen came in, they weren't much better. But I think that this is who the Tigers are, and I told you that we would get to some numbers, so let's look at these numbers. I like statistics because I watch the games and I analyze what I see based on what the eye test, but the numbers really drill stuff down for us. And the Tigers, to nobody's surprise, have the worst offense in all of baseball. They have the worst metric when it comes to weighted runs created, which is a stat that takes into all accounts how they produce runs, because guess what? You need runs to win baseball games. And guess what the Tigers don't do? They don't score runs. They have a 72 weighted runs created as a team, which is 28% lower than the MLB average at 100. That's how bad this offense is. But it gets worse. They have a 24.3% strikeout rate, which is 5th worst in the MLB. They have a 6.6% walk rate, which is 2nd worst in the MLB. And then, when we talk about when they do put the ball in play, they have a .097 isolated power metric, which is the worst in MLB. It is something that takes singles out of the equation and just measures how a team produces extra base hits, and what that metric says is the Tigers don't hit for extra base hits. They had 12 hits in Game 1. 2 of them were for extra base hits. They had 9 hits in Game 2. 1 of them was for extra bases. They had a grand total of 4 hits in Game 3. 0 for extra bases. They have 31 home runs as a team. Aaron Judge has 24 by himself. And if you think that it could be like, maybe they run the bases, nope. Worst base running team in the majors metrically. Negative 10.7 BSR, which is a weighted base running category that determines how they add runs to their ledger based on the way that they run, taking into stolen bases, caught stealing, taking extra bases, all the good base running metrics. They're the worst team in baseball, actually costing themselves about 10.7 runs over the course of the season. And like we said, this series, the pitching wasn't any better. They were just bad. Could not put the White Sox away with 2 outs. And you got to give the White Sox credit. Look, the White Sox did exactly what they're supposed to do when you play a team that's worse than you. You step on their throat and tell them that they don't match up. And they did. The White Sox offensively, with 2 outs, scored half of their runs for the series with 2 outs. 13 out of their 27, so just a little bit less than half. With 2 outs. 4 out of 9 runs in the game 1 were with 2 outs. 3 out of 5 runs in game 2. 4 out of 9 in game 1 were with 2 outs. 3 out of 5 in game 2 were with 2 outs. And you would think, oh, Wednesday, they just knocked the ball out of the park. Yeah, they scored 13 runs. They probably were getting those well before 2 outs. Nope. Almost half of their runs on Wednesday came with 2 outs. 6 out of those 13 runs they scored on Wednesday were with 2 outs. The pitching could not put this offense away. And I'm telling you what, and I said this to one of my friends earlier, this team just did the White Sox a huge favor. This team came in struggling, had won 6 out of the last 17 games. We have already mentioned that. And we just told them, guess what? You're a pretty good ball team. Guess what? You can hit the ball. Yoan Moncada hadn't homered in 23 games. Guess what he did in the first inning on Wednesday? Hit a 3-run homer with 2 outs. We gave them the opportunity to just prove to themselves that they should be the best team in the AL Central, and we let them get out of Detroit with a lot of confidence, and that is now going to be a scary team. They got Joe Kelly back in the bullpen, even though Liam Hendricks is on the 15-day IL. That Tim Anderson's going to be coming back at some point. That team is going to be getting very good very shortly, and probably going to use this series, this sweep of the Detroit Tigers, as a way to jumpstart this season and become the potential contender that they are. And they have no one else to thank but the Detroit Tigers, who just basically gift-wrapped them a 3-game series and said, yeah, we don't want it. Just go ahead. Just walk out of Detroit with 3 wins under your belt. We're not even going to really be competitive. Now, the Tigers had opportunities, sure, and Game 1 really took a turn. Probably left Ronnie in a little bit too long in that 5th inning, but still, just non-competitive baseball is what these last 3 games were. So we take a breath, and we try to move on, because baseball is a long season. And the Tigers are welcoming in a team in the Texas Rangers who are, I would say, they were a better team coming in than the White Sox at this point, just record-wise, right? They're 29-33 as they sit right now. But this is a team that can run the bases. This is a team that, as far as that weighted runs category goes, they are just slightly below MLB average at about 3% below average, 97 weighted runs created. So it's going to, again, be a very tall task for a Tigers team that has lost 4 straight, has an incredibly, we're talking hanging on by the skin of their teeth, pitching staff, who stood on their head and have done a great job. And I know that over the course of this show, I've talked and I've said that I'm not necessarily too worried about the offense because water does find its level. The numbers are making me regret those words a little bit. So as a man that owns up to what he says, I have to say maybe I was wrong. But when I look at this pitching staff that stood on its head, literally hanging on by the skin of its teeth, and really the only reason why the Tigers have been competitive, it's thinning out, and it's getting dangerously thin. We've seen when starters can't give us 5-6 innings, we don't stand a chance. And one of the more concerning things for me is when I'm watching a game and it's the first inning, and the other team scores first, the opposing team scores first, you almost get this sense of deflation. Like, here we go again. you don't see the team claw back. You don't see them grind out at bats and get runners on and move runners over and push across runs to make the game competitive. And that's concerning.
Man on a mission, I'ma get it. You know I be on a what?